All right, again, Merry Christmas, y'all. This is part 2 of my collection video, and I may string it all together as one big video. I might break it up into sections, but let's go ahead and just talk about what we got here. Some of the stuff you can see on the table, some of the stuff you can't, and I'm just going to bring it into focus. We'll start off here. This is a Zermeno. It's an 80%. It's called 80%. It's a custom knife, and it's okay. You know, it's thick. It's a little bit of a bruiser. This actually kind of reminds me of the Gringo blade in Kumu. If you check out my video on the Gringo, I had made reference to that blade. Kind of reminds me of this Zermeno blade. So this is what I was talking about. This is AEBL steel. Anyway, so that is the tier 80%, and this is the tier 100%. Check it out. The difference. So, this is in Nitro V. These knives don't really cut very well. Anyway, all right. So that's the Zermeno. Then I've got Chaves. This is the Chaves Street. And the Tonto blade. Really nice blade. I enjoy this one. This is a fantastic knife. Love the action, except these knives got double clutch. This knife got a double clutch situation, so not really crazy about that. And here is the 229 in a Kickstop. Love this knife. Awesome action. These two are Curtis F3s. They're custom knives. This is a full version of it, and this is a slim. A lot of people compare this to a XM18. This is a Magna Cut. This is my first experience with a custom knife. Great action on it. And like I said, this is a slim. I don't know if you can see the difference, but there's a difference. This is a Magna Cut, but in a Wharncliffe. And then we're going to get into my Spyderco collection. So here's the Yo Jumbo. And we got an aftermarket scale on it. It's a Wharncliffe. I'm a big fan of Wharncliffes. And then you got a Yo Jimbo. It's got a original goat scale on it. Love this scale. It's beautiful. This knife is a good size knife. Very ergonomic. Fits in the hand real well. It's got the compression lock. It's hard to see underneath this camera, so pardon me if I'm a little awkward. Great cutter. It's a real interesting piece. Spyderco does some really unique designs, and this is one of them. I think it's Bill the Butcher. This is a production version of Bill the Butcher knife. Here is a Spyderco Stage 5. It's in Rex 121. Great knife, compression lock. Spyderco Native 5. Oh, pardon me. Shooting knives everywhere here. Spyderco Stage 5 in LC200N. Rust-proof knife. You can go in the ocean and not have to worry about this thing rusting. Here's a Spyderco UKPK. It's a slip joint knife. This is made out of S110V. In England, these knives, you can't have a knife that locks. So this is a knife that does not lock. So it's really made for the UK market. This is one of the few knives that I have two of. And I just love it because it's so lightweight, small, easily concealed. It's just a great knife. And it fits great in the hand. This is a very ergonomic knife. And this is in S110V. And I wanted to try that steel. And this one is in LC200N. So these yellow ones are usually called the Salt series knives for Spyderco. though I think recently they've changed that. But great knife. This is a Spyderco Military 2. This is a sprint run, but I've changed the scale on it. The scale comes in peel plied texture carbon fiber, but this is obviously titanium, and this is S110V steel. Big, huge honking knife. Great ergonomics on this blade. Just a great knife with the compression lock. I really love the compression lock. And you got the Spyderco Paramilitary 3. And with Flytanium scales, lotus scales. Great knife. Fits real well. Great steel. This is also the S110V, and so is this one. With the compression lock. Love that lock. And here's a Spyderco Paramilitary 2 in S110V with a Flytanium lotus scale, titanium scale, aftermarket scale. I like the weight of this knife. This knife fits really good in my hand with these scales. They're contoured. They're just beautiful. And now you have the Shaman. I got two Shamans. I got a Sprint Run. This is how it comes. This is an S90V steel and micarta, however you said that. I'm from New York, so part of my accent. But this is a great knife. This is an awesome, awesome knife. And listen to that action. Let me shut up. Love that. Compression lock is one of my favorite locking systems. And then the regular Spyderco Shaman, but I put Flytanium scales on it. This knife is real heavy. And it's in your S30V. Great knife. Great ergonomics, nice thick blade, amazing action. Really love this knife. And here's the Spyderco Caribbean in LC200N, part of the Assault series. I don't know if I've ever carried this knife. I keep on wanting to. I think I might have carried it one time, but anyway. Here's a Spyderco Chef. This is the first expensive knife in my mind. When I bought this knife, I was like, oh my God, I can't believe I spent this much money. I don't remember how much it was. I think it was like $300, but don't quote me on it. But it's also the Salt Series knife. It's LC200N, but it's not in yellow. This is a Knife Joy special, or I think it's Knife Joy. So it normally comes in a gray titanium, but this has a blue titanium to it. And this knife at one point was very, very difficult to get. It's got a sheep's foot blade. This is super sharp. I've used the heck out of this knife. It's a camping knife for me. Got no problem using this knife. It's awesome. And this one here is a sprint run. It's called the Spyderco Subvert. It's a ridiculously large knife. It's a guillotine when you close it. It's tagged me several times. It doesn't have a really good detent on it, and it's easy for the knife to flip open. So I never really carry this knife. It's got like a recurved blade to it. It's a real tall, flat grind, which is a typical Spyderco thing. But it's so super thick in terms of carry profile. And look how thick that rear nub is. And it has no detent at all. So I'm just afraid to carry this knife, quite honestly. For my safety. So I have never carried this knife, and I guess it's a safe queen, even though I don't own a safe. But here's a Spyderco Dragonfly in K300. Is it K3? 390, K390 steel. It's a great little knife. It's one of my earlier knives that I purchased when I got back into knives. For such a small knife, it fits really great in a hand. And this knife is, this steel is a super steel, like most of these steels here. And it's highly regarded in the industry. But it's not stainless, so I don't really use it a whole lot. And here's a Spyderco Ladybug. I figured, what's the smallest knife I could get? So this is a Spyderco Salt Series knife in H1, which is the first steel they used in their Salt Series line before they switched to LC200N. And now they're in Magna Cut. But like I said, I decided I wanted to get this thing. I wanted to get the smallest knife that I could possibly get to stick in my pocket. And I just never carry it because I can get a larger, smaller knife that I can stick in my pocket. And it's just better than this thing. So the H1 steel supposedly doesn't hold an edge very well. I don't know, I never tested it out, but it's got a lock back to it. It's just not a fun knife to carry.